take a bath, get stuff to bring back in, and seeing how the war was reported, to have the direct experience of the difference between being in a war and seeing a war at a distance, knowing it largely through photographed images, still photographs and of course television. So what this is about is how we perceive war and other kinds of disasters and atrocity when we know those situations through images. And I'm particularly concerned with the question that has come up so often, and I'm afraid I'm partly responsible because it was an idea that I had when I wrote about photography many years ago in a book called On Photography, that when we look at these images of disaster and horror, that we have this nightly atrocity show, that we get inured, that we get desensitized, that we don't care anymore. I used to think that. I don't think that anymore. And so the book is partly a kind of quarrel with myself about what the effect and impact of all these images of war that we watch. So in that sense, it is a continuation of something I was talking about a long time ago in this book called On Photography, but it's really about how people can take in the suffering of others. You could extend it, of course, even to how people take in the suffering of other people that they know. How do you deal with some terrible thing that happens to somebody else? Do you run away from it? Do you deny it? Do you stop feeling it? How do you protect yourself? How do you intervene? When do you feel you have to intervene or you should have a view about something? I mean, it's a moral question, I think. There's a political aspect to it, but it really is about how we are constituted as moral beings. Can we take the whole sufferings of the world on our shoulders? Are we supposed to be reacting to everything, feeling we ought to intervene? How do we select what we react to? I mean, it's about questions like that.
Now, when On Photography came out, in one of the interviews you gave at the time, I read that you didn't own a camera. Is that still true?
Yeah. Well, no, I don't. Well, I actually have been given a camera by friends who think I should take pictures. I guess I'm afraid of it in a way. I love photography so much. I think it's, I don't own a camera for the same reason that I don't own a chess set. I mean, somebody once tried to teach me to play chess, and I quickly realized that this could be incredibly addictive activity. And I have enough addictions already, so. No, I don't take pictures, but I look about pictures. I look at pictures. I think about pictures all the time. I think we all do. I mean, it's so extraordinary how much our sense of the world is now ruled and shaped by photographed images. And then there is that very interesting phenomenon that we can look again and again at the same image. For instance, this show, which we're doing live, will be rebroadcast.
And archived for future generations.
Exactly. Now, in an earlier time, call it a pre-modern time, when something happened, it happened. You couldn't re-experience it. Then there are all the ways in which we have knowledge through photographic imagery that are unprecedented. You go to a basketball game, and then in the intervals, you will see the shot, which you saw as a member of the audience, you'll see it on a very large screen in slow motion, and you can see it through the camera as you never could see it, even though it was something that you actually saw with your own eyes before. Camera can slow things down, it can speed things up, it shapes, it frames, it chooses, and these images get stocked, and there are archival images that turn out to define how we think of the world. For instance, if you think of the Second World War, the European Second World War, the Nazi era, I think almost the first thing that comes to people's minds would be the images of the concentration camps that were taken, the photographs that were taken of the survivors in Dachau and Bergen-Belsen after the war, well, when the camps were liberated in April 1945. Those images really sum up the horrors of the Nazi era. And you could almost think that one of the reasons that we didn't know the horror of what went on in the Soviet Union, in the Gulag and elsewhere, is we didn't have photographs. We don't know really what happened in the Korean War in the way that we know what happened in the Vietnam War, because there was very little photographic and television coverage of the Korean War. in a certain sense, the things we pay attention to now are the things that are photographed, that are given to us in the form of images. And that's a real change in consciousness, not to mention that you can know yourself through photographs. Let's say how you looked as a child at all ages if your family took a record, a photographic record. We know so much through photographs that we never could before.
What about television? What's your relationship with it?
Oh, well, I'm a notorious freak on the subject of television, but I hasten to add that I go to about 5 or 6 movies a week.
That's
so,
right.
and
That's a lot of time
I mean movies in movie theaters. And so if I don't watch television, it's just a sacrifice which I make in order to free time to go to the movies and read and listen to music and look at art and hang out with people and actually even get a little work done when I can resist all the things that I enjoy doing. However, the coming of DVD and the computer has even changed my relation to television, because now when I do want to watch these things that I was depriving myself of, like The Sopranos, then all I have to do is buy the DVD and I can watch them on the large screen of my main computer. So I'm not missing everything.